Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to be installing some rock lights by Lasfit. These are a two-color set of lights. They light up amber and they light up white on the flick of a switch. So let's go check them out.
A big thank you to Lasfit for providing the product for this video. These rock lights come in a box very reminiscent of an Apple product. It's a really nice unboxing experience. They are clearly marked front and, in this case, behind, and that's because the wiring is longer on the rear ones than it is on the front ones. And this box contains the mounting hardware and the main harness. Opening up this first box with the front light in it, you'll see that it's a nicely wrapped wiring harness, rock light, and a mounting pad all in one package. The rock light has an aluminum casing to it, so it's going to be nice and durable. You also get 4 of these rubber mounting pads to help with installation. It's your choice whether you want to use them or not. You can use them to help mount to a tube frame, for example. They've got a concave surface to one side. And the connectors have an O-ring for sealing and are screw tight. In this accessories box, you have the mounting hardware for all of the rock lights. They also included 26 zip ties, which is plenty for attaching the cable down the side of the vehicle and throughout the engine bay. And the main harness, which includes a fuse and a switch. And then it's got 8 connections, 4 for the rock lights that are included in the kit, and then 4 sealed ones that have a cap on each end, ready to install another 4 rock lights. And on the other end, you've got a really quick and easy connection to the battery. 2 wires, that's it. You also get an instruction booklet that gives you a wiring diagram, a layout of how you should put it together throughout the vehicle. You can pause the video and read it if you need to. So overall, this is a very comprehensive kit. The very first thing I did was test the rock lights. The last thing I wanted to do was install them, put all the wiring in place, zip tie it down, and find out that they don't work. I made sure the connection was sealed tightly and then screwed it down. Next, I connected the negative terminal to the battery. Followed by the positive terminal. And then all you've got to do is turn it on, see if it works. Check both sides of the switch, the white and the yellow. I continued on and wired up all 4 of the lights, just to make sure all 4 worked as intended. And for comparison, the light on the left is the front light, and the one on the right is the rear light. It has a lot more wiring. I started the install at the back, and the first thing to do is remove the rear fender flare. And then I went through and I removed all of the right hand side Phillips head retaining clips. These are one of the most annoying clips to try and remove. They just spin and spin and spin. So just take your time and you should be able to get them out. It's up to you to determine the position you want to mount the light, but I used a light colored Sharpie to mark where I wanted to drill. I needed to mark 3 holes, 2 for the mounting hardware, and then 1 for the cable to go through. I used a right angle drill adapter here, made it easy to get up and drill inside the fender liner. And just a note whilst doing this, above the fender liner is a pillow type material. It's a sound deadening liner, and just be careful you don't want to push the drill through that and start wadding it up. And then for the hole for the main wiring harness, I used a step drill bit. This meant I could gauge what size hole I needed to on a step-by-step basis. Again, don't push too hard or too far in one go, you don't want to catch that liner. And now I fed the wiring harness through the hole I just drilled. And with the included hardware, push it through the rock light and then into the holes that you just drilled. And quickly here you can see that pillow-like material I was talking about earlier on. With the hardware, you need to put on a washer, then a locking washer, and then the nut. Make sure you tighten down both bolts with the included Allen wrench. And now it's time to feed the cable towards the engine bay. Feed it down the right hand side of the fender liner. You'll then be able to reach up and pull it down from underneath. I zip tied the cable along the frame. I attached it to existing wiring harnesses. I then pulled it up by the passenger fender well and traced it along the edge of the cowl. And here you can see the rock light installed. At this time it still has the blue protective film on it, but you can see it's a nice clean installation. Before putting everything back together, I wired the lights up again, just to make sure that they're working properly. Now that I know they're working, I can put the fender liner back together and put back on the fender flare. It's now the same process for the other 3 lights. Here at the front, you do the same thing, take the fender liner apart, drill the holes, feed the wire through, and mount the light. Need to make sure that on the front fender liners you don't drill the holes too wide, because it's more of a felt material than a plastic. Put the bolt through the light, through the fender liner, then put on a washer, a locking washer, and a nut, and tighten it down with the Allen wrench. Once installed, you can test the lights, and then put the fender liner back together, and reinstall the fender flare. On the driver's side, I just want you to know there is a wiring harness here, and the bolts are quite long, so you need to be really careful here. I put on a couple of little caps, and that should protect the harness from any rubbing or chafing. Finish feeding your wires back through the engine bay, and then test the lights. And here you can see whether it's the front or the back, it's a really clean install when you do it this way. None of the wiring is visible at all. And it's the same story on the passenger side. Looking up through the footwell, there's a grommet you can pull out that gives you access to the firewall. Once it's removed, it's easy to feed the switch through into the interior of the Bronco. Once you've fed it through the top, you can go to the underside and pull the remaining wire through. I made a small slit in the grommet, fed the wires through, and then replaced the grommet in the firewall. Wiring these lights up is so simple. Grab the black wire and attach it to the negative terminal on the battery. And don't forget to tighten it down. And then attach the red cable to the positive side of the battery. And tighten that nut down too. And don't forget to close the terminal protector. I routed the wires behind the fuse box and then zip tied them where it made sense. For now, I'm just resting the switch here. I haven't decided if I'm going to mount it into the dash or not. Double check your install, make sure all the lights are functioning as they should. Check out both color modes, the white and the amber. Here's where the lights really shine, whether it's amber or whether it's white. You can see that they really give off a lot of light. I'm going to put a link to these lights in the description below. You can use Thougths 20 to get 20% off of your order. And that will work on the Lasfit website and also on Amazon.
So there you go. This was a pretty time-consuming install, but I think it was worth it. Look at them. They look fantastic. They're amber and they're white. Two options, one switch. It's under the dash. Now, I haven't decided if I'm going to rewire those and put them onto some old switches yet, so I'm sticking with that switch just kind of loose in there right now, and I'll make a decision on that later. But the light from these is fantastic. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, maybe subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.